good day to you. This is Todd. I am a regular dude walking in the Word. As you can see, today I have my cowboy hat on. Because this episode, if there was some shooting going on, there'd be some shooting going on. You're going to see today a lot of drama happening. It's almost like we turn on the TV, and I haven't watched TV, like regular TV in a long time. Much less like the afternoon TV with the soap operas. So I believe they still exist, if I'm thinking correct. But this is a soap opera that's happening here, and a lot of drama is happening in what we're going to read today. And I'm calling it the Great Baby Race Drama. Okay? This all started because Laban had the bright idea to give Jacob 2 wives. All right. And that's where the whole thing started. Jacob wanted really only Rachel. That's all he wanted to start off with. But Laban, the trickster, threw in Leah also, probably because she couldn't get married to anyone else. So he's like, oh, you got to take her too in the deal. That's where the drama all starts. Okay. But I want you to see here today that the drama can start with man, but God can use that drama. You're going to see that the children that come out of this, they're not just sent away and stuff. They actually become the 12 tribes of Israel, okay? So it's very significant. God can use a mess and make something good out of it, is really the bottom line here. So if you have your Bibles, turn to Genesis chapter 30. And we're picking it up in verse 3, and we're going to read all the way to verse 24 here, okay? It says this, "Then she said, 'Here is Bilhah, my servant, sleep with her, so that she can bear children for me, and I too can build a family through her.'" Okay, let me stop there for a moment and fill you in what we've read earlier. We read like 2 days ago how Leah, she was like not loved by her husband, but obviously he didn't mind having sex with her, and she immediately had like four boys. Okay, I don't know how many girls she had already, but she had 4 boys. Okay, and so she has these 4 boys, and Rachel has none. And the last episode we talked about, she was mad, and she was trying to take it out on Jacob, and Jacob would have nothing to do with that, and said, "This is up to God. It's not up to me." Okay, so she's mad about that. So what she does now is she gets her servant and says, "Here, take my servant." Now, where did this idea come from? Well, it was a pagan thing that was the countries around it was doing, but also you can go back to Abraham. Abraham did the same thing. That didn't turn out well at all. Okay, and so you would think that they would look back at that and go, "That didn't turn out so well. You know, great grandfather doing that. Maybe we shouldn't do that." But no, they insist on doing that. Okay, they're so desperate to have children, because children was, if you didn't have children, it meant there was something wrong with you. You know, you were cursed by God or something. So we have here, Rachel is giving now her servant to Jacob. And Jacob is like, "Oh, okay." Yeah, he's fine with it. Just like Abraham was fine when his wife said, "Oh, take my servant." And he's like, "Oh, okay. Yep, I'll do that." All right. So let's read on here. Verse 7, Rachel's servant Bilhah conceived... Then Rachel... This is verse 6. "Then Rachel said, 'God has vindicated me. He has listened to my plea and given me a son. Because of this, she named him Dan.' Rachel's servant Bilhah conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Then Rachel said, 'I have a great struggle with my sister, and I have won.' So she named him Naphtali." Okay? Leah has 4 boys now. Now Rachel has 2 by way of her servant. Okay? You're going to lose track here in a bit. Verse 9, "When Leah saw that she had stopped having children, she took her servant Zilpah and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a son. Then Leah said, 'What good fortune!' So she named him Gad." Okay? It gives me a kick out of these names here, because these names were significant about what was going on here. And so Gad was because I'm like, oh, good fortune. I just had another son, not through me, but through my servant. Okay. Verse 12. Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a second son. Then Leah said, how happy I am. The woman will call me happy. So she named him Asher. During the wheat harvest, Reuben went out into the fields and found some mandrake plants, which he brought to his mother Leah. Rachel said to Leah, please give me some of your son's mandrakes. Now, I'm assuming that Rachel and Leah probably got along just fine before they were in this marriage. After this marriage, not so much, okay? So Leah's son has these mandrakes, but Rachel would like some of those mandrakes. Verse 15, but she said to her, wasn't it enough that you took away my husband? Will you take away my son's mandrakes too? Very well, Rachel said, he can sleep with you tonight in return for your son's mandrakes. Okay, so they're making a deal with mandrakes. You can have sex with the husband tonight in exchange for mandrakes. What a deal. Verse 16, so when Jacob came in from the fields that evening, Leah went out to meet him. You must sleep with me, she said. I have hired you with my son's mandrakes. So he slept with her that night. What a proposal. Like, hey, you got to sleep with me because I exchanged some mandrakes with you. It'd be like, hey, you got to sleep with me because I had some strawberries that I exchanged for sex with you tonight. But, Jacob, he's like, Melancholy, like, okay, more sex. All right. Verse 17, God listened to Leah, and she became pregnant and bore Jacob a fifth son. Then Leah said, God has rewarded me for giving my servant to my husband. Okay, so she named him Issachar. She says this, God has rewarded me for giving my servant to my husband. She's justifying that. That wasn't God's reward. But people can do things, and if things fall into place, and they go, oh, God's looking down on me, all kinds of crazy stuff like that. That wasn't right, but she's justifying it here. Verse 19, Leah conceived again and bore Jacob a sixth son. Then Leah said, God has presented me with a precious gift. This time my husband will treat me with honor because I have borne him 6 sons. So she named him Zebulun. Sometime later she gave birth to a daughter and named her Dinah. I'm sure there was other daughters, but we don't know the names of the other daughters. But we are given the name of this one because Dinah will come into play in the story later on. Okay, so that's why her name is included here. Verse 22, then God remembered Rachel. He listened to her and enabled her to conceive. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son and said, God has taken away my disgrace. She named him Joseph and said, may the Lord add to me another son. What? She was like, had been barren for this long. Her sister had given 6 sons already. And then she finally has a son. But is she satisfied with that? No, not at all. The last line here is, may the Lord add to me another son. How would you like that to be? You were born, I was born, and my mother says, oh, I'm so glad I have Todd. I just wish I had another son too. I'm like, what's wrong with just me for now, crazy here. But this is all drama that happens. And I like Genesis because it shows the raw drama that happened. These are sinners, just like I'm a sinner, okay? So I have a lot of drama in my life too. I try not to, but there's drama in my life, okay? And the drama it's caused from sinful actions going back, all the way back to Laban giving up his 2 daughters like that. Okay, so this is all stuff, that's happening, all this drama. But what I want you to see from this is all this drama that happens, God will use it for his plan, okay? All these boys that are born here, that are listed here, and one more is to come, all these boys will be the 12 tribes of Israel, okay? And so God can take that mess. This was a mess here. He takes that mess and he makes something good out of it, the nation of Israel. All right? He can do that with our lives. He does that with my life. my screwed up life of a mess of a life. Can't even say it right. He can take that and fix that too. But he can take that mess and then fix it to his glory. Okay, and that's what happened here. All right, thanks for watching. I'm just a regular dude walking in the Word, and I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we continue our journey through Genesis. Lord's blessing. I'll see you then.